Hello and welcome to The Gaggle, where we challenge and, if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm Ciara Haley and we're joined today by the wonderful Graham Elwood in LA. Hi Graham, how are you?
I'm all right. Nice to see you.
Graham here is the host of The Political Vigilante and he's also a comedian. And I've invited Graham on today to give his perspective on the spat, let's not even call it a debate, Graham, that took place on Tuesday night and the aftermath as the dust slowly falls across the wreckage. Graham, your main takes away from Tuesday night.
Well, it's just exciting to see democracy thriving, and it's just really no. It was I have to make jokes about it because I was watching this going, this is the worst thing. I mean, I so can't wait to hear your point of view, but like I have a lot of fans from around the world, and they're just like, what is America doing? I couldn't help but go, these are the two best. This is America's two best people.
Yeah.
And like, it was unbelievable. I was like, I would rather watch an episode of Real Housewives, just fighting over some ridiculous, like a handbag or whatever they fight on. I don't watch those shows. Like it was, I mean, Trump did what Trump does. He just interrupts. I firmly, and I'm not saying this to be funny, I firmly believe he has narcissistic personality disorder. Like he exhibits all the signs of that disorder where he can't admit he's wrong. He can't, anyone calls him on. So anyone that disagrees with him is fake news.
Mm-hmm. Graham, I would say that on Tuesday night he went as far as self-imploding. It was Trump versus Trump. It was like fighting your own shadow.
Yeah, I mean, and then Joe Biden, I mean, he's kind of useless. I mean, it really was just watching these two like puppets of the oligarchy in some slap fight. I mean, it was like, and the real sufferer was the American people, because what we didn't have was a substantive debate. What a debate should be in a democracy is candidate A presents their policies and platforms and how they think they're going to, and candidate B presents theirs, and they discuss why they think their platforms and policies are better. And the American people then get to go, oh, well, this makes sense to me. Instead, I mean, when we start talking about the environment, I mean, Joe Biden, first he goes, finally Joe Biden goes, oh, well, no, I'm not for the Green New Deal. Oh, thank God. The West Coast is on fire. And he just said he's not for it. I mean, it's just like, it was, I was like, oh, we watched a Republican debate. These are two Republicans debating. One's sort of a moderate Reagan Republican, and then one's a fascist. So it was like, great, this is what we got to watch.
Yeah, and in fairness to Biden, though, Trump did say that that all that California needed was better forestry management, was it?
Yes. Which
forestry management.
Oh, again, so that is that is one of many issues in terms of why California's fires they need to do more forestry management. But again, Joe Biden doesn't have the mental acuity to do this. Because right there was an entry for him to go, yeah, you're right. The forestry is a federal agency. So Trump,
exactly, yeah.
You should give more money to this federal agency so that the governors in Washington and Oregon and California can actually do this. Because it is like in Australia, the indigenous people of that land for thousands of years would burn. It was part of it was good for the soil to burn stuff, and and in America they do it's called controlled burns, and indigenous people have been doing this for centuries. Yeah. And so, yes, from a forestry management and a land management perspective, more needs to be done. But again, that's federal money.
Money. It's an issue you have to have a stance on.
Yeah, it's unbelievable that Biden wouldn't even call out any of Trump's lie. I mean, he was lying like 5 or 6 times. Trump just says, I'm number one. I'm the best. Everything I do is number one. Everybody knows this. Like, it's just preposterous. And then I was so mad really at the Democratic Party, who this is their guy. And they they could have gotten behind Bernie Sanders, and not that I think Bernie Sanders is some sort of messiah, but at least his policies are what America really needs now. America really needs Medicare for all. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We need student debt forgiveness. That's another thing. We could talk policy. Like there could have been student debt forgiveness. If you don't know, 85% of all student loans are they're federal loans. So the federal government, by executive order, could just go, hey, done. You don't have to pay these. And it would put trillions of dollars back into the economy. That's a policy point that Joe Biden could say. Say, this is what I'll do as president. I will, all of you with crushing student loan debt who are having a hard time paying your bills because you haven't worked in the pandemic, I will take that away. I will take that burden away. I will give money instead of to Wall Street. I will give it to land, to people who are small business landowners and tenants. And so because we have 28 million foreclosures that are about to start happening.
Yeah.
So there's people who can't eat. Yeah. And they just guys argued like it was madness.
Graham, this is why the heart bleeds, because what do you take away from a debate like that? You take nothing. There was nothing said. At no point did Trump come out saying, in my second term, I will aim to do X, Y, and Z. And Biden was hanging on by a thread, just trying to remember what he was supposed to say to get across. And in fairness, he did speak to the audience. He was very calm and composed under the incessant interruptions that Trump was every 2 seconds making. I will give him that much, but it's not much. At the end of the day, it's not much. And I think this debate was one of the lowest rating presidential debates in history. It was like 26 million people tuned in comparison to in 2016, which was, I think it was 43 million. So, almost less than half tuned in. And I'm just wondering, do you think, what is the implications for people who are undecided? Did this debate change anything for people who are undecided? Is the fact that there were so few viewers watching it mean that the lines are already hardened and drawn? That this debate doesn't change anything? The Trumpers, the hardcore Trumpers are going to say, yeah, this is the guy that we know and love. Like, look at him being aggressive and asserting himself. And the other side are going to say, well, yeah, look at Trump making a fool of himself like we've always expected him to do. Do you think there's a takeaway from the undecided voters that a lot has already been decided? What is the situation with people who aren't decided and who they want to vote for?
Well, I think those are great questions. The diehard Trumpers they're not going anywhere. There's the diehard Trumpers, right? So what this debate was, and if you listen to what Joe Biden said, and this is the Democratic Party's just horrible strategy, they're literally their convention. They had Republicans on their convention. They're going after middle of the road, like moderate Republicans. They're going after these like Mitt Romney type Republicans. That's who Joe Biden is, because they don't want to go, because they said, we don't want the left. The Democratic Party would rather lose to Republicans than let progressives take over the party, because if progressives take over that party, their big billionaire donor corporate gravy train is over. It's over. Yeah. That's why they did everything in their power to stack up against Bernie Sanders. And then Bernie Sanders just quit, which is just appalling. If Bernie was on the stage right now, he'd be like hammering Medicare for all, student debt forgiveness, and all this other stuff. But to get back to your question, I think the reason there's several factors here. First of all, there was a CNN poll that came out the day after. Yeah. And did this debate sway you for Biden or for Trump or neither? 37% of those polled said it swayed them for Biden. 11% said Trump. 57% said neither. And having there's 100 million people that don't vote in this country. And the old kind of way of doing it is shaming them. Oh, they're lazy, they're apathetic. No, those people are like, tell me, those people watching that debate are going to go, which one of these people are going to help me? Neither one. They're going to argue. They're going to feed their big billionaire donors. Yeah. Both. And so nobody cares. So I think, and then also what supports that is having just been at some protests in the street and then talking to other independent media outlets like Convo Couch and Status Quo. And they're talking to the people in the streets who are protesting every day. And most of them are younger. Most of them are probably under 40, under 30. Mm-hmm. and they're like, we're not we're not excited about Biden at all. We don't like Trump. We hate Trump. We want him gone. But we're not. No one's rallying around Joe Biden. There's nothing.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's what this debate was like. Yeah, this is the best you guys can give us, and this is why. And the vote any blue will do crowd, which keeps shaming lefties such as myself. You're mad at us because we voted for Jill Stein in 2016. You're mad at us for this? Like, I mean,
I also think that watching the debate from the perspective of someone who's lost their job, someone who can't make rent, one of the 28,000 people who've recently been laid off by Disney, for example, who is struggling to get any support of like family income, watching this debate being like, okay, these two guys are the options for the leader of this country. How can they help me? They've had no answers. People who are struggling with healthcare, afraid of coronavirus, afraid of getting coronavirus and having to go to hospital. Where was the help? Where was the support? Where was the answers? There were no answers.
There was no help for any of it. Like, so I mean, like all those people you're talking about, like there's a story just came out in Bloomberg News, and I covered it on my show, Political Vigilante, of food workers, like, people working in like food plants or in fields in Minnesota. This is focusing on specific a woman in Minnesota, mother of like 4 or 5 kids, making $12 an hour at a food processing plant, and she's going hungry. Like, she doesn't have enough money for food. And they interviewed her. She was having to go to a food bank. They interviewed all these people, like just in Minnesota. So they're working in these fields, and these big corporations like Hormel and Kraft and Monsanto, there's plenty of food. It's not like the Dust Bowl of the Depression. The Dust Bowl.
Scarcity in the world, Graham, actually.
It's insane. America has enough money and food to take care of all of its citizens, every single last one. And you're sitting there, and there's somebody with a job who doesn't have enough money for food. She works a 10-hour shift, and she's like, I'll eat an apple and maybe a tortilla. And then she comes home and has to make food for her kids. And everyone's got these stories of like, I'm working, or I was furloughed, or I'm working part-time, I'm making half the money, we don't have and the food banks are overwhelmed. There's lines out the door. And what is that? What do you think that person's going to do? They're going to watch these two guys on Tuesday and probably tuned out, or they were just too tired after they came home work, or hey, they're 3 months behind on rent because they couldn't work because of the coronavirus, and their unemployment has been cut in half, and they're just like, what are you going to do for that? Or
what are you going to do? That's my final question to you, Graham, is what is going to happen? What are these people going to do?
I mean, I'm not trying to be negative or gloom or doom, and I really hope I'm wrong, but I don't see people. Look, we're going to have food riots. There's 28 million looming evictions, and the sheriff's department are the ones that come serve the evictions. And there's going to be some people who are going to say, no, we have a country with a lot of guns, and we've had 3 million guns purchased in the last 6 months, and by people of all sides. It's not just the red state Second Amendment folks. They already had them. Now people on the left are buying them, and you've got all this unrest, and crime has gone up.
Yeah.
And the ruling class is pushing America into a civil war because they need to distract America. And Tuesday night was a perfect distraction to distract America from the fact that we are actually in class warfare. You have people like Jeff Bezos and the Walmart family and all these billionaires have made record profits these last 6 months, hundreds of billions of dollars. And you have people starving. So, they set up a guillotine outside of Jeff Bezos' home. Some protesters did in Washington, D.C. So I don't think there's going to be a decision come November. I think it's by design. It's going to be, they're trying to push us into chaos, because if all the working class white people, some of whom are these white nationalists, if they realize that they're in class warfare and it's not race warfare, but like Fox News tells them, oh, Antifa and Black Lives Matter are coming, they're coming to get you, white America, run, get your gun. And Trump gave that awful, I'll tell the Proud Boys to stand by. I mean, he basically...
Stand by? What does that even mean, Graham?
It's a dog whistle. He's telling them to arm up and get ready. I mean, that's what he's been saying. I mean, he's been saying these things. So I'm really worried that America is going to just divulge into some kind of crazy civil war, but it won't be clear cut like North versus South. It'll just be random. They'll just be, I mean, look, during the Rodney King riots in the 1993, there was 63 people just randomly shot on the streets of Los Angeles. So it's terrifying. We're already seeing it. We're already seeing, like 3 or 4 days ago, there was a protest after the results of Breonna Taylor, and somebody drove a car into the protest. I mean, what happened in Portland? What happened in Kenosha? I mean, each side is starting to retaliate and stuff, and it's just going to be...
Yeah.
It's really, I'm really scared about what the next 4, 5, 6 months are going to be in America. Not to mention the economy is going to collapse. It's being propped up. So you throw all those things in there. Corona numbers are going to spike over the winter.
Yeah, as we're seeing.
As you're seeing, as you guys are seeing there, it's happening there. So it's when people can't eat and people are getting evicted. I mean, the cops are going to show up and say you're going to leave, and someone's going to be in their home with a gun or guns and say nope, we're not. Or like the whole neighborhood's going to come out and say, no, you don't get this house. Or the Boogaloo Boys are going to show up, who are, their whole thing is we're anti-cops and they're heavily armed or whatever. I don't know. They're just like chaos people. And then the Trumpers are going to show up. And then when Trumpers are going to get evicted and they're going to go, wait, I thought this didn't happen to us because we're white or whatever. I see just mass chaos. I will say this. It's going to look like, in my opinion, it'll be some horrific combination of like Ireland in the 70s and Russia in the 90s when the wall fell.
I mean, honestly, it's apocalyptic, Graham. I wanted you to say something a bit hopeful. I hoped you would say something a bit hopeful.
Here's the hopeful I will give you is I think it's going to get very bad, but it will get worse before it gets better. And I think more people are waking up. More people are getting involved. I've never seen this many people active in my life.
Yeah.
And to see young people really getting involved because, and I think some people are going to go, no, man, we're going to stay and fight. Like you don't get to take this over. We're not letting this country go to, and having the guillotine outside of Bezos thing is pretty amazing because traditionally in the last 20 years, they celebrate these billionaires. Aren't they so cool? And I want to be like them. And people are starting to realize this ain't right. And the Seattle City Council has passed a lot of, and it's going to be regional, and there's going to be like the Philadelphia Museum of Art workers just unionized, and so that gives me hope. I'm seeing, young people tearing down Christopher Columbus statues. Christopher Columbus, if you read his own journal, he was an awful person. So I think the old guard, these old white men and some white women that have a lot of money and power and they're not going to go easy.
No. But
it's like an addict. They need to hit rock bottom and then hopefully they'll get sober and have a wonderful life. So I feel like I see little rays of hope. In the short term, it's going to be brutal, but I think in the long run, America has a chance here to really heal itself, fix itself. I mean, like listening to these two old guys both just defend the police. I think people are just have had it, and
yeah, I think the greatest point that shone clear to me was from the aftermath of this whole circus is that people are sick and tired of both narratives. People are sick and tired of inaction, this status quo in whatever form being maintained, because nothing much has changed. People's lives have not gotten better overall. People still are struggling to have a competent health plan. People are still struggling to find places to live. It's bad.
Yeah. And the reality, people are being woken up to the reality of it. And, some of these people in any of these groups that are like ramping up for war, they've never seen war. They don't know what it's like. And when they get a taste of it, they might go, oh God. Nope.
No, and it's a horrendous kind of thing to aim for. War is a horrendous experience.
It's the worst thing. I've been to Iraq and Afghanistan, and most Americans don't know what seeing in war is like. And I've seen it up close just as a comedian. I wasn't in the military. And it's not Call of Duty. It's not a Hollywood film. And I really hope they understand. And I think Americans are going to get a little taste of it and go, oh, we got to find something else. We better come to a reasonable solution, because it's
not nice.
It's the worst thing. It's the worst thing human beings can do to one another. And it's so dehumanizing. Even because when I see people like on social media, like, I got my gun, I'm ready to go. I'm like, are you ready to take another human life? Are you ready for that?
No, it's too much. Those kind of posts kill me every time.
Yeah.
It's too much. Well, Graham, I'm going to say a very warm thank you for joining me.
Sure.
I know it's early where you are, and it was really lovely talking to you, even though I now feel like I have to go and have a drink after this conversation.
Let's be happy you're not in the States.
I'll light a candle for you in the Irish way of things. Ask my grandma to light a candle for you. Even better. Guaranteed that I think will turn out okay.
I think America is going to heal itself in the long run. That's my hope.
Well, I would say everyone should go and follow and subscribe to Graham's channel, because it's an excellent take on politics, the political vigilante. And also like, subscribe, and share to the gaggle. And thank you very much for watching this show. We'll see you very soon in the future.
Thank you.